It's shortly after daybreak in the Tarawa Lagoon. The men of the family have returned from fishing. Less than 3% of our land is arable. The rest is coral and sand. It's like living on a beach. It's the ocean that our people turn to as they harvest food and protein for our families and communities.
As a male, that's one of the skills I have to learn. I have to learn how to fish. From my father, he had a small canoe, and I used to accompany him to go out fishing. In all our legends and dances, you can hear about the fishing expeditions of our ancestors.
However, in the modern context, the picture is very different. The exclusive economic zone for these tiny islands is almost 3.5 million square kilometers, roughly half the size of Australia. With the decline of fish stocks worldwide, these waters have also become a major attraction for very large vessels from North Asia, America, and Europe.
And as a nation, our aspiration, to become more and more economically independent in terms of getting more and more revenue from our fish. And I emphasize our fish, because it is our fish that has been fished by Japanese, Taiwanese, Chinese, now the Spanish, and you name them.
In 2008, an estimated 650 tuna boats were licensed to fish in this, the second largest EEZ in the world.
What we get now from fishing licenses is about 5 to 10%, and that is not fair. That is not fair.
I think the current revenue for licences for Kiribati is in the region of, it fluctuates from 25, 30, 35 million Australian, but if that pales in comparison to the take that potentially comes out of this water, which is in billions of dollars. So you can see that they've got this fantastic raw resource on their doorstep, and unfortunately they're only getting a small amount out of it.
The Australian government's Pacific Partnership for Development approach lays considerable emphasis on economic growth, and the government of Kiribati turned to Australia for support.
Upon that request, the government of Australia took the initiative to come to Tarawa and help out and assist with the identifying priorities.
The fruit of these discussions was the Fisheries Performance Incentive Scheme.
We then wanted to look at, are there more effective ways of delivering aid? And we think, yes, performance-linked aid is something that we would like to trial in the program here. Setting up some pre-agreed targets, designing some milestones around those targets with the ministry, and then working closely with the ministry that integrates their sector plans, their strategic plans.
The first of 4 milestones was a major review of the legislation covering offences and penalties for illegal fishing activities. Drafting support came from the Australian Attorney General's Department.
We have been very successful since we amended the penalties clause. First, we were able to get, a substantial amount of money in terms of, penalties. And secondly, there is an increase in the compliance.
2 of the other milestones include an independent review of all future negotiations regarding access, licensing and joint venture arrangements, and policy guidelines on how these will be carried out. The University of Wollongong is providing their experience and technical support.
That also calls into play new ways of monitoring and evaluation and reviewing. We also get some independent assistance to do that. We need to have confidence in the government's systems, and we need to have confidence that the milestones really are being met and we're getting those targets so that we can then pay on tangible results.
On the final completion of each milestone, the ministry receives a 25% part payment. Some of these funds will be used to complete the training of 10 fisheries officers for the outer islands.
Nakaya nari bangata tayan sakari kirong manaya kayo no kahit na ba konti tao tek.
Coast Guard starting now. You have to proceed to Coast Guard.
The patrol boat, gifted by the Australian government in 1994, plays a critical role in surveillance and monitoring activities.
There's a need. There's a lot of fishing vessels fishing without license. Yeah, last year Kiribati spent more than 5.5 million in fisheries penalty.
Milestone funds will be used to increase the number of days at sea and update the satellite vessel monitoring system.
Fishing vessels are in these positions in our waters now.
Islands with no lagoons face special problems, often involving lengthy ocean trips to catch fish. The ministry will use its milestone funds to create fish aggregating devices, FADs, for these islands. A float or pontoon is anchored close to shore. Organic matter is dropped to the seafloor. It grows and attracts small fish. They in turn attract bigger fish. And down comes the hook. It also means less time at sea and a saving in fuel.
Quick chat about these new fisheries guidelines. So these administrative guidelines is now what the fisheries ministry is going to use.
In charge of coordinating all these complex arrangements is local AusAid employee Nauntatat.
Hello, is that Quentin?
I tried to work to try and negotiate well with the Ministry of Fisheries and the technical assistance from the Australia, mainly the University of Wollongong, to try and push things together so that everything is finished.
We spend a lot of our time in South Tarawa working very closely with our government counterparts, and it really is important to get out to the outer islands, to see things for yourself, to really understand the challenges that people in the outer islands face on a daily basis.
On arriving on an island for the first time, a small offering is required at the local shrines.
This is some candy. Okay. I hope she likes sweets. I think so. Not only is fisheries extremely important as a resource for the country, but also it engages a very large part of the community, both fishermen who go out fishing and netting in the foreshores, and right through to ice plants like this one.
We buy the fish from fishermen. We ice the fish in the cooler box and leave it for a while. Some of the people who are not fishermen come to buy the fish.
As a food source, as a livelihood, it is the most valuable resource that Kiribati has, apart from its people.
Other donor partners are also looking to see how better management of the EEZ will create more job opportunities for young school leavers. The New Zealand government is looking into a major upgrade of the local fisheries training centre.
No, it's in their blood. There's no doubt that they're world class at it. So why not just tap into that and add on to what already is a marketable skill? The idea would be that you'd have 2 or 3 of these highly trained Kiribati seamen would be allocated to a boat, and if you've got 500 or 600 boats, and overnight you've got 1,200 people working on these boats. I'm excited about that, and I think it provides a real opportunity for Kiribati to finally start getting some of the value back out of what is rightfully theirs.
This is a hugely important program for Kiribati, and I think there's some challenges for the ministry and for us, but we're working together. I think the early signs, the commitment is really strong. A program like this that focuses on such a key sector is going to have a significant impact on the future of this country.